Gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to MGTOW Money, the fastest growing MGTOW channel on YouTube. Today, I'm going to be exposing some of the lies, some of the fantasies that are being pushed by the personal financial industry. And as well as I should add, this is going to be part one of a two-parter because there is so many, it's like a tsunami of lies pouring out of them. Before we get to that, though, I need to set the table. This, of course, is MGTOW 2.0. This is the second wave of MGTOW. This is about actionable, practical ideas for men that are seeking financial freedom, that are seeking to retire early. The bottom line is, it's about increasing your options and choices in life, how you can lead a rich life, a life where you can make lots of choices and you have lots of options versus a poor person is going to have many options and choices severely restricted and they're going to have them pushed onto them. So this is all about helping you find out how to move forward. Today's topic is, of course, fairy tales and fantasies. Things like, not all women are like that. My girl is different. Except this is going to be from a financial perspective. Number one, I frequently hear a lot of commentators talk about to determine your stock allocation, in other words, the percentage of your money, how much money should I put into stocks? To determine the percentage of your stock allocation, take the number 100 and minus your age. So if you're 25 years old, take that from 100 and you get 75. So therefore, you should put 75% of your money into stocks. I say wrong, wrong, wrong. That is very, very bad advice. Now, let me be clear. I do recommend that everyone have some money, some percentage allocated to the stock market. So, with that said, I do not believe, though, it's prudent for anyone to put the majority of their money at any age into the stock market. Yes, I get it. Overall, the stock market in the United States and worldwide does go up. And overall, I get it. On average, keyword average, it goes up about 10% a year. I get all that. However, of course, let's look at a couple of different things that we know for a fact. Number one, the U.S. stock market, for example, does go through periods of doing nothing. Nothing. So, for example, look at the years 1966 to 1982. The overall return of the stock market was zero. Now, I'm not including dividends here. I'm just talking about it went nowhere. Another example, look at the Japanese stock market, which peaked in about 1991, which today, nearly 27 years later, is still at about half of where it was at its peak in 1991. Thirdly, let's not forget what the stock market did back in 2008, as well as the world stock markets when they went down over 50%. In other words, people had their portfolio value literally cut in half. Don't tell me that you wouldn't care, it wouldn't affect you, etc. Believe you me, it took a cast iron stomach to be holding it through there, and a lot of people didn't and ended up selling at the bottom. So the point is, I don't know what the stock market's going to do. You don't know, but you need to be in a well-diversified, non-correlated asset portfolio. Go back to one of my prior videos regarding asset allocation, the book I recommended by Harry Brown. Do some research. Point number two. Another myth that I hear a lot about this is a warning that I used to get. Inflation. Inflation is reflected by rising prices. That is going to kill you. That is going to be a very serious problem for you or for any person who retires early in regards to financial freedom. Wrong, wrong, wrong. So there's a second one. I'll give you an example. I was thinking, how much money do I spend today? What's my monthly budget today versus what was it 15 or 20 years ago? Do you know what it is? It really hasn't changed much. Yes, the things that I'm spending money on today are different than I was 15 or 20 years ago, but the actual dollar amount really hasn't changed. And that's just not my experience. That's the experience of numerous other people. that actually, yes, things do go up in price. Medical care across the world, and in particular in the United States, is increased in price. If you're in college, obviously, the price has gone through the roof. I've talked about student debt before. You can see the video on that. But that doesn't mean that everything has gone up in price. Yes, some food has increased in price. Some food has decreased in price. And also, I've changed my dietary habits where, frankly, I'm eating less. And I'm certainly eating a lot less junk food. So the point is, you have a personal, keyword, personal inflation rate. Don't let them scare you with, the dollar's going to go down by half and you have to factor all this in and that type of thing. Yes, you have to be aware of these things. You have to be willing to, here's the key word, this is straight from Darwin, you have to be willing to adapt. It's not the strongest survive, it's the most willing to adapt that survive. It's the species that can adapt. You can change. Point number 3. I keep hearing this one all over again. It's deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra said. Buy the biggest house that you can afford. Or here's a little secondary one on it. Buy the worst house in the best neighborhood. I guess real estate agents push these ideas, but let me tell you some reasons why you don't want to buy the biggest house you can afford. Let's start with taxes, property taxes. Property taxes inevitably are increasing. You want to talk about inflation? You can be relatively guaranteed that property taxes are going to increase. And the bigger your house, the bigger your property taxes. Number 2, your utility costs obviously are going to be higher in a larger house than a smaller house. Number 3, your cash outlay, the amount of dollars that you're going to have to put out, is going to be that much higher in a larger house. Here's what I recommend on houses in 10 words or less. Buy the smallest house you can afford that you're comfortable in. Period. End of story. Buy the smallest house you can afford that you're comfortable in. In terms of buying the worst house in the best neighborhood, I think that's great advice if you're looking to rent it. In other words, hey, I'm going to buy a shack in this fantastic neighborhood and I'm going to rent it out. You know what? You could probably do pretty well. And I can tell you how you could do even better. You buy the shack, you renovate it, and then you rent it out, or even you flip it. In other words, you sell it. You can crush it. And I've seen people do that. You can do really, really well. But I do not recommend that you live in it, because inevitably you're going to be affected subconsciously as well as consciously by the financial culture around you. So you have to be just very, very careful with that. Number 3, I frequently hear about that you need X amount of dollars to retire. You need $2 million to retire, or $5 million, or put whatever amount into your home currency. You can't retire unless you have X, Y, or Z in terms of dollars. Wrong. Sorry. Each and every one of us has a very unique amount of money that we need to sustain our personal lifestyle. See, I keep bringing up that word personal because it's very specific and unique to you. How much money you need is going to be different from me, and it's going to be different from a third person. Furthermore, it's also going to be very geographically specific. If I chose to retire to San Francisco, California, USA, or the heart of central London, it would require a significantly more amount than if I chose to retire in Cuenca, Ecuador, for example, or Lake Chiapa, Mexico, for example, or Phnom Penh, Cambodia, as a third example. My point is that it's very specific to you, your lifestyle, as well as your geographic location, which ties in with your lifestyle. So don't let them, the financial media, scare you into believing that you need X amount of dollars or you'll never be able to do it. Because, again, speaking from my own personal experience, there was nothing more discouraging and nothing more disheartening than hearing about how I got to climb Mount Everest. Well, let me just tell you guys, relative to achieving financial freedom, you don't have to climb Mount Everest. It's not that difficult. A person of average intelligence can do it, I can assure you. With that said, again, we'll have part 2 coming up soon. I want to finish by saying we are building a MGTOW army of financially free men, of financially independent men, and you're a part of it because we're moving this forward, men. Now, I need you to share this channel on forums. I need you to share this with your friends. Hit the subscribe button now and the like button if you found it useful. John Galt, out.